When McDonald's buy the grill, to buy this one and this one, it's around $1,000 to $2,000 more than this one. Okay? So because it's more expensive, the franchisee, McDonald's, they go to buy this one. But I tell them, in the long term, service cost will be much more than $2,000. Because now, if I need to work on here, I have to go through this way and this way. It takes more time, much more time. So this one is much better. So this is a total new concept to the old grill. Totally new. This concept of moving the lower surface was actually my concept. It was my idea. I came up with this idea. Okay? And this is what we call true compression cooking. What I mean by true compression, all of the grills before this one, all of the grills, the top platen here, it floated. I could grab it and I could lift it and it would float. Okay? This one is solid. You can't lift it, it's solid. So if I tell this grill to cook a hamburger, okay, it's going to compress and cook the hamburger. With the old grill, what would happen is, if the setting was incorrect, the top platen would just float on the top. It wouldn't compress, it would float. This one compresses, okay? So if I put a 4-to-1 McDonald's quarter pounder on this grill, but I set it to 10-to-1, so the smaller, it's going to compress it down into a 10-to-1 piece of meat. It's very strong, very, very strong. So this one is in these grills we also have long and short version grills. They're the same size, like this, same size, but shorter. The bottom platen is shorter, okay? So this one, the long version, is a C852. The short version is C854. So C852, C854. This one, C856, the compact. And this one is C860 for the compact and C858 for the full size grill. Here in Kuwait, do they use the small or the short or the long in McDonald's? The long one. Okay. The reason we have the short version, with the long version, when the platen comes down, we have an extra piece here at the front. Okay? If they don't use this piece here, all of the heat is just going. Oh. And what's that costing? Money. Because the heat is going away. So we've designed a shorter version, so it does not have the extra piece at the front, so therefore it's saving money. Okay, it's saving money. Okay, so these are all of the highlights, the features of the new grill. So this is what we show to McDonald's when we design the grill. Okay, we have independent cook zones, no flavor crossover. With the old grill, because we have a lower surface, one flat lower surface, I cannot put fish, chicken, beef. I can't do that, because what will happen is it will mix the juice. Called flavor crossover, okay? With this grill, I can put anything on it because it's separated. So I can cook chicken, I can cook fish, I can cook beef, I can cook anything I want on this grill, okay? It has no compressor, no pistons, no solenoids. So all of the air system has been taken away. It has no air system. So this is much better for service. Because with the old grills, we would have leaks, air leaks. This one, no, we don't have it. There is no gapping mechanism in the upper platen. What this means is now, the old grill, the upper platen was this big. Yeah. This one now is like this. It's very short. All we have inside of here, we have thermocouple, we have high limit, and we have the connection for the element. Okay, that's it. That's all we have inside there. The upper platen is locked into place. We've already spoken about this. The lower surface is driving from below. Again, we've already spoken about this. It has very accurate and repeatable gap maintenance. What this means is, once I have set my gaps with my go no-go tool, we probably will never have to touch them again, because it keeps the gap, it doesn't lose the gap. Now, the old grill used to have a grease trough here and a grease trough here. Okay, now we have 2 per platen. Okay, so if we have a 3 platen grill, we have 6. Okay, 2 platen 4, 1 platen 2. Okay, now these are much smaller than the old grease troughs, but we have more of them, so it's no problem. And we have a new interactive touchscreen, just like your phone, just like your iPhone or Android phone. And now this is, I like this one. So we have a Teflon sheet which wraps on here, okay? Teflon sheet. This is to stop the meat sticking, okay? Now, with all old grills, any grease which is on here, it sticks to it, and it stops at the back here. And then we have a build-up, if you look at the back of the grill, we have a build-up of carbon, like this, okay? Big, thick carbon. With this one, it doesn't happen, because the Teflon sheet, it does not wrap around the back, it's open. So all of the grease runs out. This here is a grease shield, okay, we can take this out. The grease runs down here, onto here, and now we can push it off, okay? Now, I just spoke about the carbon on the back, okay? In McDonald's, not just McDonald's, in all quick food restaurants, they have a problem with, which is the biggest problem in a store? Cleaning. Yeah? Same here? Big problem. They don't clean properly. Now, I used to be a technician like you guys. I was a technician for 15 years in England, okay? McDonald's technician. I fixed everything. Lights, sockets, fryer, toaster, everything I fixed. I had a mantra, okay? My mantra would be, if they can't see it, they don't clean it, and they don't change it. That's my mantra. That's the example. Because they cannot see here, behind, they don't clean it, they don't touch it, they leave it alone. Okay, it's a big problem. So this is the heating circuit in the top button, okay? So these elements, they are not removable, okay? If one of these elements is open circuit, we have to replace the whole top button, okay? So you see we have an element here, we have a thermocouple here, another element here, and another thermocouple. So we have 2 thermocouples in the upper button. It says the lower plate mirrors the upper, so the lower plate is the same as the upper, unless we have a long version and then we have 3 elements instead of 2. Okay? So, one thing you have to be careful with this grill. The old McDonald's grill, the high limit would be on the live side. So you'd have live electricity going through the high limit. With this grill, it's the neutral. The neutral is running through the high limit. So when we get a high temperature, it's a 550 degree Fahrenheit high limit. When it gets to high temperature, over 550, the high limit opens, and now we have no power. Okay? It's the same with the neutral. It's just breaking the neutral instead of breaking the live. But what you have to remember is, I still have power at my element. So if my high limit is open circuit, don't touch the element because it's still live. Okay? Now the way this works is, once the high limit is open circuit, it's going to stop the contactor, the main relay, energizing. And therefore we have no power, so therefore we cannot continue to heat. Okay, safety system. these are the same. All the same as the old, the solid state relays. Okay? And now it tells you which relay is doing which zone here, so that's quite nice. So this is the inside of the upper platen. Okay, now, again, we don't have the grill, so I'm going to have to explain this to you, how to do this. So, let me just go back. Okay, so this here is the top of the upper platen. Yeah? We have these rails here. These are for the Teflon. Okay, to put it into place. Yeah? Now, to take this off, we have to remove the handle, because you see the handle is going through a hole in the top platen here. Yeah? So first we have to take the handle out. Now to take the handle out, we have to remove the clamp. So inside here, the handle goes through like this. Okay? Goes through the hole. And inside there is a clamp which is holding onto this handle. So first we need to loosen the clamp, so then we can loosen and remove the handle. Yeah? So, we take off this rail here, 2 screws. One here, we take it off. We take off this rail, 2 screws. When we take this rail off here, we will see 2 more holes in the top of the platen lid. Okay? Not the hole for the screw, 2 extra holes. Okay? Down those holes, inside, are these 2 bolts. Okay, so this lid is down, there are 2 holes inside, and we put an Allen key, an Allen wrench inside. Okay, and we loosen this clamp. So this clamp here, it's fixed here, the clamp is underneath here, and it's doing this. Yeah, you understand? Yeah. Now, today I'm going to tell you lots of things what not to do. Okay, I'm going to say don't do this. When I say don't do it, it's because I've done it and it was wrong. Okay? I've broken things. Okay? And I'm telling you, I broke it, don't do this. This is one of them. These screws here, there is a plate underneath. Okay? When you loosen these screws, you have to do them evenly. Okay? So if I do this one, 2 turns, I do this one, 2 turns. Then I do this one, 2 turns, this one, 2 turns. Okay? If I don't do this, this is what I did. I was in South Africa, I'm doing training. I loosen, maybe 5 turns, then I go to this one, I turned it, crack, snap this bolt in half. Because what I've done is, the plate underneath, the screws are going into here like this, okay? If I've done this one 5 turns, I've done this to the plate. Now this screw now is bent, it's not straight. So now when I turn the screw, it snaps off. And now you cannot put the handle in place. So now you can't use the drill. So make sure you do them evenly when you take it out and evenly when you put it back in. Okay? So I'm going to loosen the screws, I'm going to pull the handle out. Now all I have to do is just lift the lid. Okay? And now I see all the components inside of this. By the way, if you do snap one of these bolts here, you cannot get the 1 bolt. You have to order the whole assembly. So it's those 2 bolts, the plate, and those 2 bolts, the whole assembly. Unless you can get one locally, Kuwait, I don't know. So this is your overload here. High limit. Okay, so this is what's going to open circuit if we have too high of a temperature to kill the power to the element. Now, if we want to remove the platen, to replace it, the whole platen, it's much easier. The old drill, it was very difficult. Okay? This one, all we do, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts. The platen comes off. There is no connection here though. On the old elements, the connection is here. There is a stud and there is a connection. Here it's not. This here is soldered. Okay? This here is soldered. So if we want to take out this platen, we have to disconnect it down at the relays here. Okay, so we disconnected the relay here, and we pull the cable this way instead of the other way. Okay? Oh, so on the handle here, you will see there is a. You can't see it very well there, but there's a rubber. You can see it there as well. There's a rubber grommet here, a seal. Okay, on the handle. This seal is not part of certification. When I say certification, every 12 months in McDonald's, maybe 6 months, depending if they wanted 6 months, they have a service on the grill. Okay, so an engineer will go to the grill, they will change all the parts that's needed, they will clean it, and they'll make sure it's cooking correctly. Okay, that's a certification. This part here is not part of that. You don't change this on certification. You change this as needed. Okay, so if it's broken, you change it. Now the problem is, there is also 2 of these at the back here. 2 seals at the back as well. In order to replace those seals at the back, you have to remove the platen. You have to remove the platen, slide this off, and slide new seals in place. Okay? This, to me, I'll take my tailor hat off, okay? This is stupid. It's stupid. I've already said, the back of the grill, they don't clean it. So what's going to happen to those seals? They're going to break. Yeah, they're going to break. So they will need replacing at some point. Now, some engineers will split them. Instead of taking the platen off, they'll split them and seal them. If you do that, I don't know. Okay, don't tell me, because I don't know. Because you're not supposed to. You're supposed to take the platen off, okay, to replace those. It is an issue. Okay, so this is the inside at the back of the grill. Okay, the old grill would have a piston here, an air piston. So when we press the button, the air piston would push the platen this way up, and it would come down. This now is an electronic actuator. Okay, so it's just an electronic arm. We have 3 springs here. Okay, so these are retaining the platen back up here. Now, when you install a grill, if you guys ever install a grill in McDonald's, these springs here will not be attached. They will be loose. Okay, so you have to put the springs on. Please, guys, be very careful when you put the springs on. Okay. Firstly, make sure you have gloves. Okay, put gloves on. Because there are 2 ways to do this. We do have a special tool. Okay, we have a tool that you can buy from Taylor. It's like a big pair of scissors like this. It's like a big pair of scissors, or chopsticks, or whatever you want to say, like this. Okay, it's a big tool. And what you do is, you put one end of the tool under here, the hook here, which would be up here, you would hook the other side into the hook, and when you compress them down, like this, it pulls the hook into the eye. You don't have to touch the spring with your hands. That's what's good about this. But you would probably not see that, because you probably won't buy it, because it's expensive. So, when you put these springs on, make sure you have gloves. If you don't have gloves, what's going to happen is the spring is going to pinch your hand. The other thing that can happen, I was training this grill, I was doing the training in Australia many years ago. And one of the guys, one of the technicians said to me, look at this. He had a bandage around his hand like this. And he took his bandage off his hand, he had a hole through his hand. What he had done, he had greasy hands. He grabbed hold of the spring, pulled it down, the spring went back, and the hook went straight through his hand. Okay, so gloves, and be very careful. Also, when you put these springs into place, do not go very slowly like this. If you do it very slowly, it will be very, very hard. You need big muscles because it's very hard. Hold the spring with one hand here. This is how I do it. I hold the spring with one hand, then I hold the hook with this hand. And I go quickly. Boom, in, boom, in, boom, in. If you do it fast, it's much easier. Much, much easier. Okay?
Why they don't attach with this spring?
Why they don't?
The full.
Because when they ship it over, the platen has to be down. Okay? So good question, because you reminded me of something. Okay? This is good. My training, I told you I was a technician. I would much rather have a discussion, talking, than presentation. I would much rather be touching the equipment, because I'm a technician. Good question. The platen has to be down. Oh, sorry. The platen has to be down, but it cannot have the springs on. Okay? It's just for shipping. If it's on the plane or it's on the ship and it's doing this, it keeps it in place. So no damage, to stop damage. Okay? One thing I forgot to tell you, and I reminded because of the question, so thank you. Thank you for the question. Okay. If you are going to install this grill and this grill, it's okay. But if you install this grill, there are what we call shipping bolts. Shipping bolts, okay? And these shipping bolts are stopping the bottom platen from moving. So, if you install a 3-platen grill, the first thing you must do is take the side off, okay? You are going to see yellow ribbons, yellow hanging down like this, okay? If you follow the yellow ribbon up, there will be 2 bolts in each platen. So 2, 4, 6. You have to take these bolts out and throw them away. These bolts are stopping, like your question, these are stopping the bottom platen from moving. If you don't take the bolts out, the bottom platen cannot move. So when you switch the grill on, you're going to have an error. And it will say, motor initialization error. It's just telling you it can't move. Okay, so first thing, make sure you take the bolts. This one and this one, no, they don't have them. But this one, yes, you have to take them out. So this is the same as all grills here. It says the platen can be operated manually, meaning we can pull the platen down by hand, or we press the button. Okay, so the grill has 2 buttons. It has a red button and a black button. The black button is you press it once for cooking. You press it 2 times within 5 seconds for standby. Okay, 5 seconds. If you do it for 6 seconds, it's not going to do it. It has to be within 5 seconds. Also, if you want to put the grill into standby, do not press it too fast. Because if I do this, it will not register. You have to press it and press it again. Okay? What happens in standby, the platen will come down and it will stay there. It won't go back up. It's to save energy. Because if the platen is like this, all of this heat and all of this heat is just going away. If we put the platen down like this, we're saving the energy. Okay? And the grill will actually say, please put me into standby. The grill will tell them, put me into standby to save energy. Right. This is going to be very difficult for me to explain, but I'm going to do my best to explain this. So, I told you this is on installation. We take the bolts out, with the yellow ribbon. Okay, that's the first thing we do on a 3-platen grill. The second thing we must do is we must set this switch. Now, this switch here is a magnetic, electronic magnetic switch. It's looking for metal. Okay, electronic switch. Now, this switch has actually moved now. It's no longer here. It's located in the center of the platen. It's not, if I'm looking at the grill now, it's not here on the left, it's in the center of each platen. Okay? And we changed it so we don't adjust the switch, we adjust a bolt. I will show you on another picture. This is very important. It's very important. Now, what you have to do is you have to set this switch. This switch here is looking for this metal. Okay? So what happens is, the platen, this is the back, the platen comes down, this is the back here, the back comes up. As the top comes down, this comes up at the back. Yeah? This switch is looking for the metal here. So it knows, is the platen here, or is it here? This is how the grill knows, by this switch. Do you understand that? Yeah, right. When we install the grill, we have to set this switch to a certain standard, okay, to a certain setting. And that setting is forget about this, I'm going to explain this soon. When I press the black button on the grill, this is the handle of the platen. The top platen is going to come down, and this hole here is going to go over this solenoid. Yeah? You understand it to now? Yeah. You see these balls here? Okay? These are springy. Okay? They push in. But when this switch here, when this switch sees this metal, it's going to lock these balls into place. So they're going to lock. So this is going to come down, this is going to go over here, and when it goes over here, the switch sees the metal, this locks into place, and now the platen stays down. It cannot come back up. You following? Yeah, right. So, what we have to do is we have to set the switch so this does not activate too soon or too late. Because if this is coming down and the switch is not set correctly, it could see the metal, latch the balls into place, and now this cannot go over because the balls are latched into place. Yeah? So that's too soon. Too late would be the platen comes down and this comes all the way down here, hits the grill, and you will hear a noise. It will go doo 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 doo. Okay? Because it can't go any further. That's why this switch is important. So what we have to do is we have to set the switch so when we press the button, this comes down like this. It stops in this area. Okay? It does not hit the bottom. So it will come down, it will stop, and what you need to look for is a bounce. So this will come down, it will go into this area, and you'll see bump, 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 bump on the handle. When you see the bounce, it's correct. It's correct. We set the switch, we tighten it up, and we leave it alone. It's set. Okay? Then we have to run an auto level. Okay? So we have to go into the settings into the grill. This grill has 3 passcodes. Okay? It has 1955, 1955. This is operator code, manager code.
1955.
1955. It's 1955 because McDonald's started in 1955. That was the year, okay? Then we have our code, service code, 5231. I think everybody knows 5231. Yeah? And then we have a developer code, which is 4335. Okay? The developer code you will not need to use very often. It's mostly service code for you guys. Okay? So we go to let me just go to the back here and see. I think I have some pictures where I can show you. Okay, so this is the display. Okay, this is the touch screen. So we switch it on. Okay, so you see 1955, 5231, 4335. When we press the 4335 code, we're going to have all this information here. Okay? So we're going to select service. Okay. When we select service, we're going to see this auto level button here. Okay? So this is for the switch. We set the switch, we go to here and we see auto level. We press the button. Now the first screen you will see will be auto calibration. Auto calibration is only the lower surface. It will calibrate itself. Okay? The auto level is the bottom and the upper. So firstly we press the button. First page is auto calibration. At the bottom you will see, I will show you. At the bottom you will see an arrow to the next page. We go to the next page and it will say auto level and you will see a check mark. You press the check mark and you will see the upper platen will come down. Okay? Now the upper platen is going to do like a bottom platen will do a dance like this. What it's doing is it's finding its 0 point and its maximum, its minimum and maximum. So it's going to level to the bottom and now it's going to rise to the top and you're going to see it do all of this movement until eventually it touches the top platen. Now it knows I'm level. I know where the top platen is and I know where the bottom is. Okay? You have to run that after you set the switch. Okay? That's once you've done that, the switch is set. Okay? So you have to run the auto level afterwards. So this is the underside, the bottom of this. So this is the underneath here. This is the solenoid. Okay? Now, what you may also find is, you may find when you try to pull this down on installation, this hole does not line up with the solenoid. So you can either adjust the handle back and forward or side to side, or you can actually move the solenoid as well. So what you would do, you would loosen these screws and now you can move the solenoid about as well. Okay? Okay. Again, I'm going to have to try to explain this as best as I can. So, this is the inside of the bottom of the grill. You see we have our solid state relays here. Okay? There's a transformer here. This is a 230 volt, 24 volt DC transformer. Okay, 24 volts. And then we have a main contactor which will be around here. And then we have these 4 boards here. Okay? And then we have these 3 actuators for the lower platen. So these are the actuator arms that are going to lift and bring down the lower platen. Yeah? Now, you see there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's the upper platen actuator. So we have 4 actuators for each platen. 1, 2, 3, and then the upper platen actuator. Yeah? So that's why here we have 4 boards. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and this one for the upper platen. They are all the same part number. Those boards are the same part number.
Can be interchanged.
Sorry?
Can be interchanged.
Yes.
No configuration?
Hmm?
No configuration is it?
Well, yeah. So I'll tell you on the next, because this is, yeah. I'll tell you. It's coming. It's coming. Okay. Now, So this is real life. This is showing you the inside of the grill. This is the actuator. And this is a drawing of those 3 actuators on the bottom. Yeah, you see? 3 actuators. This is the carriage here. This is the lower surface, the lower platen. And this is where it's connected to the platen here. So these are called the shoulder bolts. These here, shoulder bolts. And these actuators screw onto here. I think I have a better picture, like this. See? So these are the shoulder bolts. And you see the actuator, it's just a nut. That's how it's connected to the platen. And here you'll see there's a little spring here. This is helping to pull the platen down, the lower platen. So when the platen is up, it helps to pull the platen down. Now, the reason we have 2 green and 1 red here is because the green actuators are very, very easy to remove. The red one is not.
That's right.
That's why it's red. Now, I shouldn't say this, but this is a perfect example to me of somebody designing a piece of equipment on a computer and has never worked on a piece of equipment in their life. So all they're looking for is, can I fit this in here? Can I fit this in here? Like the compressors in the freezers. You know, does it fit there? It fits, but can I get it out? It's very difficult. But it fits. This is the same. So this one and this one, there's only 1 bolt. Actually, if I hold onto this here, I can move it like this. And this one, I can move it. This one is solid. It doesn't move. Now, to remove these 2 here, all we have to do is, we have to, firstly, we have to create this gap here. You see this gap? Because we need to work inside. So we need the space. So what we have to do is, we have to put the grill into standby. That's in standby, it gives the gap. Then we get a piece of wood. Okay? And we put the piece of wood in here, in that space. And then we unplug the grill. And now we have a space that we can work inside. Okay? Now, then we have to remove these nuts here. Very easy, just get a spanner inside, loosen them, take them off. Very easy. Now, this, just go back. Now you see this wheel here? This part here is a manual adjustment. So I can move the wheel and it's going to bring the actuator up and down, okay, as I move it. So I bring it down with the wheel. And now I have them disconnected. So now it would be like this here, but this would be down. I would have full space. Okay? Oh, I have to take the spring off. I forgot. It's just a hook. Just take the spring off. So now that platen is disconnected, I can lift the platen up. I may have to cut some cable ties to get some cable to be able to lift it up, turn it upside down. Then I have to remove these here to get inside of this platen. Okay, these shoulder bolts. Now, be very careful when you do this. Okay? So, you know a pair of pipe grips, which you know grip, what do you call them?
Vice grip.
Vice grips, yep. Okay, don't use those. Because this here is quite big. It's like this big. And if you use vice grips on them, the opening is going to be like this, and you can't grip it. And what's actually happened to a couple of engineers, they've tried to do this, and they've slipped, and they've cut all the wrists on the side here. So I have a big pair of, I don't know what you guys call them, we call them Stilsons. Plumber's grips. You know, it has the wheel.
Yeah, it's a pipe wrench.
Pipe wrench.
Pipe wrench.
Use a big pipe wrench. Okay, please, because I don't want you to hurt yourself. Use a big pipe wrench. Once you take these out, now you can get inside of here. You can change the elements in the bottom platen. You can change the high limits. You can change the thermocouples. Okay. I'm going to come back to that actuator. Don't worry
You can
about it.
take it upside down or?
Yep. So that once these are unscrewed here and these pull down, that is free.
You can,
Lift it up, turn it upside down, put it on its side, whatever you want to do. There's 2 screws at the side here, at the side. You take the 2 screws out, and now this plate comes off. And now you can get inside. Right? Now, remember what I said about the middle platen. Remember the 3 platen grill in the middle? If you need to get inside the middle platen, you're going to have to do this on the outside first. So now I have to take this one off to be able to get into this one. It's a nightmare. Now, I have suggested many improvements to this grill, okay? Because to me, as a technician, it is absolutely crazy that I have to do this to get inside of here. Okay? So hopefully in the future, what I've suggested is our thermocouples now are screw. Okay? Have you ever worked on well-built garden grills? No. They have a push click. Okay, thermocouple. I've asked, can we change to push click? Okay, so we have a hole here, hole here. All we have to do is click it out, change it.
twist lock. Twist lock.
Yep, yeah, twist lock, yeah. So this hopefully is another improvement. For the high limit, I've asked for a window. So screw, you take the screw out, open the window, drop the high limit out, change it, put it back in, close the window, done. We don't have to take it all off.
Yes.
Only high limit.
So hopefully, in the future, this will happen. Okay. Now I'm going to come back to the actuator. So this one here has 2 bolts. It has this one that you can see here. Now this here is the front of the grill. Okay, the front of the grill is here. The second bolt, in all the wisdom of the engineer at the factory, they put the second bolt going this way. Guess what? To be able to get to that bolt, you have to take that platen off. It's crazy. So I have to remove the platen, take it off, and now I can get down here to get to the second bolt, to take the actuator arm off, to replace it. You imagine the middle platen. It takes a long time. It's very difficult, very difficult. So this is another improvement I've asked for.
So we
So-
must not suggest three platter roll.
Sorry?
We must not suggest for the McDonald's to buy a 3 platter.
Yeah, if you can, yes, I would say. The problem is if you buy a 2 and a 1, you
Yeah,
need
that's
2
good.
supplies, 2 electrical supplies, because you have to power this one and power this one. So yeah, 2 plus 1 is much. In the beginning in England, they only bought 2 plus 1 because I told them to. But once they found out the 3 platen was cheaper, they just, I buy this, it's less money, so I buy 3 platen. But it's much harder to work on. So the improvements I suggested for this one here, okay? I said to the engineers, why is this one fixed? And they said for the design to work, it has to be fixed. One arm has to be fixed into place. Okay. But why do we have a bolt? And they said, because it has to be fixed into place. I said, yes, but it doesn't need to be a bolt. It can be a pin. If we have a pin here, then all we have to do is slide the actuator on the pin, put the second bolt into place, and now it can't move. Just with a pin. We don't have to take the pattern off if we do this. So again, hopefully in the future, this will be a design improvement, the pin instead of the bolt. But yes, this is not easy. And if I had the grill, I would be showing you how to do this on the grill. Because even though I'm trying my best to explain this, it's still going to be confusing when you see it. Okay, but at least you have an idea. And you can always send me a message and I will help you do it, okay?
You can remember that there is one.
There is one, all you have to do is grab hold of the actuator and do this.
Yeah.
If it's the one that doesn't move, you have 2 bolts. And now you go, you can go. Send somebody else.
We will ask what is the model.
Yeah. Is it 3-parter? Oh no, somebody else. The nice thing is that this actuator here is very robust. It's a very good part. It fails very little. Okay, so it's not you're not going to have to do this very often.
I guess so, because they fix like that, means it will never be damaged again.
Yeah, it's only really if you have a problem with the motor here, that's really the only problem you're going to have. Okay, you have to replace it. But it's a good part. Okay, so we've done whatever we want to do, and now we have to do everything in reverse. Okay, so we have to put the shoulder bolts back in. Okay, we have the piece of wood in here. We put the platen back into place. We use the wheel on the actuator to bring this up into place. We then tighten the nuts onto the shoulder bolts. We put the spring back into place, and now everything is good. Okay, and we'll come to this, but then we'd have to check the gas. Okay. There is another way you can do this, okay? It's not something that I would particularly suggest for you to do, but if you have 2 men, if there's 2 people on site, this may be easier. These actuators here are fixed to this what I call the carriage, okay? Yeah, so there's 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can, it has been done, but you need more than 1 person. You can lift all the thin guys.
What's this here?
So if you can do that, do it. But if not, you have to do what I said.
Let's say here, like bring to another person.
But it's so heavy.
Bring labor.
It's so heavy because you're lifting.
How is it?
I don't know how heavy. I'm not sure, but you're lifting the weight of the platen, the weight of 3 actuators, and the weight of the carriage. It's very heavy. You can't do it on your own.
You take 50 kilos?
Yeah, possibly. Oh, yeah, possibly. It's very, very heavy. Okay, so this is the main controller on the grill. This is what we call the lane board. Lane board. Okay, so the small boards at the back, they're called the motor boards, the MCB, motor control board, MCB. This is the lane board. Okay, and on the lane board here, we'll show it later on. These are your thermocouples here. This is the connection to your display on the front here, and this here is a lead for a USB, because all of the programming, all of the menus, all of the software is done by USB. We don't have to program. You just put the USB in, you press a button, and it's done. Okay, so that's why we have a USB here. But we'll see this better as we go along. So they are your thermocouple connections at the top there, the top left. You don't need this one. Data bus connection. So this system is a CAN bus system. The electrical system is a CAN bus system. So what happens is the cable goes from this main board, it goes to the first MCB board, the second, the third, the fourth, and then comes back. So it's a loop. Okay? It's a loop from here all the way around and then back to this board. Okay? So if you have any problem in the loop, any breakage, it won't work. Okay? You get a motor stall or a motor initialization error. That's what it will say. Okay? Because we cannot. What's happening is it's sending information out, and it has to get the information through the boards, and then it has to get that information back. If it doesn't get the information back, it will fail. Okay? That could be a bad board, a bad cable, a bad connection. It could be anything, but it's a flow problem. It's not getting the flow of information back. That's your solid state relay connection. That's your raise and standby connection. That's your 12 volts DC output. That's your 24 volts input. Now, one thing this doesn't show is this here. You see this? All of the boards have this. This is a fuse. Okay? It doesn't look like a fuse. It looks like a little capacitor. Okay? It's like a little round body with two little legs on the bottom, like a capacitor. This is a 4 amp fuse. Now why I'm saying this to you is, please, if you have a dead board, this has a heartbeat LED on it. All the boards have like an LED that flash like this to say my heart beating, I'm alive. Okay? If it's dead, please, before you replace the board, check this fuse. Okay? Because this fuse may be blown, and that's all it is. It's just a fuse. Okay? Now, I'm telling you this is because, or the reason I'm saying this, at Taylor, we pay out millions of dollars a month in warranty.
Just because of this.
Just because of many, many different things, but the problem is, internationally, so anybody that's not in America, we do not send the parts back to the States. If you tell me the board is bad, I believe you. I say, okay. In America, if you were in America, you would have to send the board back to the factory and they test it. And if they test it and there's nothing wrong with the board, we do not pay the warranty. So it's your fault, not our fault. Okay, you understand? This is costing us a lot of money that we should not be paying out. I'll give you an example. Before I worked for Taylor, as I say, I was a technician, like you guys. And I went to the factory as a technician for training. And we walk around the factory to see all of the machines and how everything is built. These boards, we used to build them at the factory by hand. It wasn't a robot, we used to build them by hand, okay? On the visit around the factory, we stop outside of the laboratory where they're building the boards. And outside of the laboratory is a box, which is this big, like this. And there are boards overflowing out of the box. And I said to the person who was taking us around the factory, I said, what's the boards? Are they bad boards? Are they broken and we have to throw them away? He said, no. These are boards which have been sent back and there's nothing wrong with them. Imagine how much money is in this tub. So I said, so what happens to them? Do we sell them again or what happens? No, we can't. We have to throw them away. Because we can't sell them because now they are second hand. They've been used. They're a used part. We cannot sell them. So you think how much money we are paying out in warranty? That is not correct. Okay? Now, I call these people, these engineers, these technicians, I call them parts monkeys. I call them parts monkey because they throw parts at the machine. It's like, this doesn't work. Which is it? Oh, let's change this. Oh, that wasn't it. Let's change this. Oh, this doesn't work. Let's change this. This is not the way of a technician.
Parts changer.
Exactly, a parts changer. The way of a technician is to test and find what the problem is. Now, you may move a part to test it. I'm going to move it to here, let's see if the fault follows the part. But you don't throw parts at machines. I had a phone call from a technician that I used to work with. And he phoned me, he was working on a grill. He couldn't get the grill to work. He put $3,000 worth of parts on the grill, and it still wasn't working. Parts changer. So I was speaking with him, and we found the problem was a high limit. $30. He put $3,000 worth of parts in the machine. Now, our policy, as a distributor, our policy is you hold on to that part for 90 days. So if you take any part of any of our machines, you must keep hold of that part, either here or on your truck, for 90 days. The reason is, if the problem comes back, and that part was not the problem, you take the old part, you put it back onto the machine, and you take the new part back off. You don't leave it in place, okay? And this is what happened with this engineer. So I said to him, I'm not paying for those $3,000 worth of parts. So he said, well, okay. Then his boss phoned me. Paul, I've been told you're not paying for these parts. I said, no, I'll pay for the high limit, $30, but I'm not paying for the $3,000 worth of parts. You need to take the old parts off the truck and you need to put them back onto the grill. Well, guess what?